Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. So I was just looking at YouTube and I saw this video titled Unskilled, Unfun Boss Fights. And this was previously brought to my attention too, and then I watched the video. I was like, what am I looking at? What is this that I am seeing before my eyes? Like, what am I looking at? This has got to be some of the most inexperienced stuff I've ever seen. And being an SPVF player myself for over 2 years, give or take, still, it proves that I have experience and that I know what I'm talking about. And I look at this and like, no, not a lot of this is right. There's stuff that's wrong. Stuff that's wrong. Now, I will acknowledge that from a newbie's perspective, this could be seen as correct. And not all of this is wrong, actually. There is stuff that's right and that I do agree with, but today I'm here to make a response to the video. So before we begin, I'd like to certify a few things. Number one, I certify that I have extensive experience with every class, boss, and pet in skill-based boss fights. Number two, I further certify that I have soloed every boss in skill-based boss fights with proof to back it up. And number three, this video is not meant for harassment, attacking, cyberbullying, or anything of the kind. This is only meant as a response and to share opinion by experience. Without further ado, let's get into this video and why skill-based boss fights is a skill-based game.
If you lose all of your lives in the boss battle and get to the end of it, you don't unlock the ability that you would normally get if you beat the boss. Now, maybe at face value, you could make the argument, well, Eclipse, if you lost, you didn't actually defeat the boss, so you shouldn't get the reward at the end, right? Well, you might be saying that if you were the developer of this game. But for those of us with a half-functioning brain, yeah, we realize that immediately that doesn't work. Number one, because even if you do 80% of the damage to the boss, if you die and you lose all your lives, you. If you take majority of the aggro of the boss for the entire fight, therefore taking more damage, and then you lose all your lives, you. If you get all the way to the end and die at the very end of the fight, you.
First of all, I disagree, because if classes were unlocked at 0 lives, then leeching would be a big issue. See, you could just go up to the boss, knife Z, stab, spam M1s, and dip multiple times, rinse and repeat, and be dead, and you get a free class without effort of surviving. This is bad game design. Now, what is the real issue? The real issue is skill issue. I'm looking at this gameplay and I'm like, bro, this is cancerous. I'm dying. Look at this. Bro, what is this? I can tell you do not have experience. You do not know what you're doing. What do you mean, bro? Like, if you can deal enough damage to contribute everything and win, if you can DPS rush enough to get the most damage while your team still wins, you're probably skilled enough to go ahead and solo the boss instead. How about do that instead? Yeah? Go solo Radiance, then come back.
But most importantly, if you cower like a bitch in the corner and do nothing to help, that's more effective than actually helping. Who designed this? Are you kidding me? I can't even look at the screen. Look at the screen right now. This idiot completed the boss fight, but I didn't, despite doing more than him because he hid in the corner while everyone else did all the work. Does that make any sense? No. No, it doesn't. Plain and simple. This is one of those things where I really wish that I could just sit down with the people behind this. If the people behind this see this, go to the comments right now and be like, Eclipse, The reason we decided to make it so if you hide in the corner and let everyone else do all the work, you get rewarded, and if you actually fight the boss and take aggro and put yourself in the most dangerous positions, you have a far more likely chance of getting totally screwed. Please let me know. Go ahead, go down there, let me know, because this is indefensible.
Now, finally, we get to something I actually do slightly agree with. This is indefensible. But actually, it's not the game's fault. Leeching is a term used to describe the act of sitting in the corner and not helping. That is natural of skill-based boss fights players. Even I, myself, am prone to leeching. It's out of fear that players do this. They may not be good at the game, and so they sit back and, like, try to live. That's it. Whose fault is it? It's not anyone's fault, man. It's not even the game's fault. Fighting doesn't help. Contributing speeds up the fight and ensures success. Sitting in a corner does not win. Skill wins. And that is the basis of the game and the boss design. That is why bosses are designed the way they are. The reason why classes are not unlocked at 0 lives is because it prevents players from sitting back and letting everyone else do the work without actually learning the fight. You need effort to stay alive, not just getting lucky with a team composition. No, you need skill. This mechanic promotes skill, not hinders the game.
Now, the other major glaring problem with unskilled-based boss fights is the fact that the skilled part of skilled-based boss fights is a load of shit. Yeah, skilled-based boss fights, my ass. Number one, because these boss fights are designed to be played with a very large amount of people, up to 8 players per boss fight, and the actual HP of the boss doesn't vary based on how many people you have, which means going in by yourself is borderline a death sentence most of the time. So sure, maybe if you're an Omega Sweat who sits there and labs out the exact perfect way to dodge every single attack and has the reaction time of a god, then maybe you can beat some of these higher tier enemies by yourself. But for anyone who is like even remotely normal, that's never going to happen. Regardless, if you're trying to fight against the bosses in the game, it's skill-based, right? Right? F***ing wrong. You wanna know why it's not skill-based? Because it is abundantly clear, based on the time that I played, that all of the ranged classes in the game, of which there are several, are very, very clearly way better than the melee classes.
I hate to break it to you, but this last argument would not be more wrong. Ranged classes are much safer, not better. If you look at my rankings, you will see that some ranged classes like Paintball, Thunder, Haze, Bubble, they're at the bottom. Meanwhile, stuff like Draconic, Sword, Dancer, which are melee classes, are among the top of both damage and my list. Dancer has aerial demolition that, when you rack up a bunch of combo, it hits super hard. Hardest hitting ability in the game. Draconic has Evening Shade, which applies not only a bunch of damage, but the vulnerable debuff for 8 seconds, which, when followed up with Romeda and Decapitating Thunder, can deal over 500,000 damage. And Sword, like you're unskillfully using, can actually burst a ton of DPS when used correctly, unlike you do. Yeah, no. There is no competition. Ranged classes fall behind. I'm speechless at how wrong this is. Like, words cannot describe how much more powerful Sword, Draconic, and Dancer are, just for a few examples. The melee classes in general, how much more powerful they are than ranged classes at all. And don't even get me started with the hybrid classes, Sentry and Hate. Those are excuses. Like, Sentry has 2 forms, the sword mode and the gun mode. Now, the gun modes and ones are absolutely underpowered. The abilities don't make up for it. The sword mode is much stronger and should be used more often. While Haze's abilities is more focused on the range side, and even with that, Haze falls behind as one of the worst classes in the game, arguable as in fact the worst, and it badly needs a rework, which it will be getting, in fact. So don't tell me that range classes are much better than melee classes, because you don't know how to use them.
And I say that because going up close to half of these bosses in the game, they can snap their fingers and you die.
Wrong! No, getting close to a boss does not necessarily mean a death sentence. That is because you get close to the bosses at the wrong time. This is one of the most wrong arguments. The biggest fallacies in skill-based boss fights ever. Like, you need to know what you are doing if you are going to get up close. And you, as a sword, on Radiant, are asking for death. You're doing this wrong!
Most bosses have a bunch of attacks that can only hit you if you're close up, and because the AI doesn't differentiate whether or not you're close up or far away, it's gonna do the melee attacks whether you're close to it or not, which if you're playing a ranged class is effectively free damage while the AI just swings at nothing. Oh, fantastic. And yeah, nothing quite screams skill-based like running backwards and shooting projectiles at an enemy walking towards you versus actually going up and fighting the enemy. Like, was this intended?
Not by a long shot. No, the game is not based around just walking back and shooting projectiles. And in fact, the same boss you were fighting has abilities that can actually kill ranged players. So, this excuse is wrong! And in fact, there is a boss that disproves it. Meet Carnelio, the best boss in skill-based boss fights in my opinion. Carnelio will target a player and will stay locked onto them, forcing them to dodge and keeping the heat off everyone else. But that's dependent on the player he's targeting. That target depends on damage and proximity. But this boss also detects whether you are far or near and will use combos accordingly to the distance. So, yes, you're right. Most bosses don't really account for how far you are. But this one sure does.
Did they think at all when they were making these? 'Cause like, the way the game is laid out, sometimes attacks when you're close up are simply borderline unavoidable. I'm sure I'll be showing some stuff on screen, but how in God's name would you ever be able to react to some of this stuff? So then why would you ever pick a melee-based class? Why are they even in the game? People with melee die within 5 minutes, and then the people with the range end up either living all the way up until the end or stalling out the fight until they eventually run out of lives anyway. But the point remains that the melee people just get whooped immediately because there's so many attacks that will absolutely dumpster on you if you get up close. And of course we can circle back and factor this into what I was saying earlier, which is the fact that if you die, no matter how much damage you did, you get screwed. So if you're playing a melee class, you're probably gonna die pretty early, which means playing a melee class might as well be throwing. It might as well be throwing the game. That's just the way it is. You are throwing the game if you pick melee. You idiot. Yeah, sorry, skill-based hold S and throw projectile fight. That's what they should call this game, because, oh my god.
Yeah, no, sorry. Using melee classes is not throwing the game. It's actually quite the opposite. Melee classes can actually score a lot of damage when used right. The only reason that people throw the game with melee classes is because they don't know how to use them. Melee classes aren't throwing the game. Melee classes are meant to be used skillfully. And then they carry the game.
Let's talk controls. I hate them. Pretty simple. There aren't very many controls in this game. There's basically 4 of them for effectively all of the classes that I played. You can jump, as you would in any Roblox game. You can dash with Q or E, which dashes you left or right accordingly, and then Z and X is some sort of active skill that you have access to. Now, you may have heard that I said Q and E are to dash left and right respectively, which has to be the most annoying mechanic ever in a game. Guys, why do we have two separate dash buttons that dash different ways? Is this just overcomplicating controls to make it so that way you're more likely to hit the wrong button and die? Yeah, it's overcomplicating these extremely simple controls to make it so that way you accidentally hit the wrong button and die. Here's a novel concept, guys. How about, hear me out here, if you press the dash button and you're moving left or you're moving right, then it dashes left or right. And here's an even more novel concept. If you're moving forwards or you're moving backwards and you press dash, it dashes you forwards or backwards instead of having to constantly do this incredibly stupid, strongest boring ground side dash nonsense in order to get away from things. It will never be intuitive to have an attack coming at you and you have to turn hard left or hard right in order to dash away from it instead of just dashing backwards. Dashing backwards, guys. Novel concept, I know.
Alright, excuse me, ma'am. Do you think that the keybinds for dashing are overcomplicated?
No,
No, yeah, that's right. If you want to dash left, press Q. Is that too hard to do? If you want to dash right, press E. Is that too hard to do? This kind of mechanic actually makes stuff like the air snipe dodge possible. Therefore, this makes the game even more skill-based.
And it's just like all of this stuff just keeps stacking on top of each other over and over and over again, and it boggles my mind. Like, how did nobody say, maybe there's some problems here? And I guess maybe it's the mindset of the developers themselves, because their own mindset is on display in their own game in the very tutorial. Yeah, we have such messages like, if you want to change your class, instead of having a button to do that, use the rejoin command. Does that sound intuitive? No, not at all. Or how about, if the teleporter breaks, you can reset to fix it? Or maybe, I don't know what's happening with the camera here. What? If you're self-aware with the problems that you have, instead of leaving band-aid solutions in the tutorial, maybe you should fix the problem! What? I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. And it sucks because there is some cool stuff here. I really like the system of the fact that when you defeat a boss, you get a new class, which means that there are tons of classes that you can choose through in this game. Although some of them get written off because they're melee classes and they're worthless.
As previously established, melee classes are not worthless. But everything else you said? Yes, I agree with it. Number one, yeah, a button for switching classes would be really nice. Although typing exclamation mark rejoin isn't like a hassle, you're right. Using a button would be easier. And the issue with least concern is failing to teleport, as well, if resetting is so hard to fix the issue, like yeah, what are you expecting me to tell you? Look, the biggest thing I agree with is that camera issue. Yeah, I would suggest the developers go ahead and fix that. You're spot on there.
But at the end of the day, there's a lot of stuff that you can mess with, which is cool. The animations and particle effects, while in my opinion are way overblown and make it so that way actually seeing what's going on is next to impossible sometimes, thanks Blox Fruit, is still impressive at the end of the day. And so I have to, I have to acknowledge it at least a little bit. But then even now, talking about this stuff and the positives that I have to say, I end up immediately thinking about some of the other problems, and then it takes away from anything that would be good. Like the fact that there are supportive classes in the game that can heal you, but 80% of the time that you get killed in the game, it's to a one-shot f***ing kill.
Yet again, this is one of the biggest fallacies of skill-based boss fights, that every attack one-shots you. No, that's not true, and we've got plenty of proof. So, and as you can see, a lot of these don't actually one-shot. Like, no, really. A lot of these do low enough damage that even a glacier can survive it. But the point stands. A lot of these are actually one-shots or they have really high damage. And it really depends on the attack you're talking about. It's not a general viewpoint. It's a subjective thing. And if you're saying that all attacks one-shot, then that's wrong. Some attacks one-shot. And you need to be skilled enough to survive them.
So if you're always getting one-shot killed by everything, then what the hell's the point of a healer? You can't heal anyone, they die instantly. Or they get hit with an anti-heal, so you can't heal them anyway. So what the f was the point? I can't grasp at anything as to how this no, I can't go on. I can't even formulate my thoughts. After playing this, I've completely lost my mind. This game is alright. I've said a lot of crap, but the game's okay. It's not horrible. It just has problems that are so blatantly obvious that I don't know how anyone didn't see them. And when that kind of stuff happens, I get a lot more negative because it just screams, we don't play our game or we don't care. Or I guess maybe they just wanted to make it as artificially quote-unquote difficult as possible by trying to screw you over at every turn. And I've played enough artificially difficult games in my life. They're never fun. And so when I just play another one, it's still not fun. I'll link the game in the description if you want to try it. Like I said, maybe you'll like it. If you have some friends to play with, it's probably more fun than playing it by yourself, as randoms are questionable at best in a lot of these boss fights. And again, playing it by yourself, completely impossible, so don't even bother. With that, I guess I'm wrapping up. So if you enjoyed the video, you can leave a like, subscribe. If you didn't, don't. And with all that being said, have a wonderful day, night, wherever you are, and I'll see you guys next time.
Well, thank you for considering the game, and I do have some final things to say. Number one, solo is not impossible. By far, it's already been proven across the years that it is very much possible, and that argument just goes straight to the trash. Number two, you're right about randoms being questionable at best. Number three, thank you for acknowledging this game and trying it out. If you want to come back, we'd welcome you back. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me for help. And once again, this video is not made for hate, harassment, bullying, anything of the kind. We strongly condemn it. Thank you for watching, everyone, and we'll see you next time.